What is up, guys? It's been an eventful day one of NFL free agency, especially for the Cleveland Browns, who got a lot of things done that I didn't think they would be able to get. So let's talk about the free agent acquisitions and also talk about some of the crazier things that happen around the NFL. All right, so the Browns had themselves, admittedly, a very good day. The start to the Andrew Berry regime was actually a very positive one, getting some very good players in some very needed position groups on some relatively decent deals. So let's start off with the first signing. It's Austin Hooper, a 26-year-old tight end. He came from the Atlanta Falcons. He's a good all-around kind of balanced tight end. He can do some blocking here and there. He's a good receiving tight end, really smart tight end. That's probably his best trait is his football IQ. And I think this is a good signing for the Browns. And it's a good signing showing the direction of where the Browns are going. And that is to more twin tight end sets, to running the ball a little bit more, and then running a lot more play action in tight end seam action, which we did see David Njoku be successful with in Baker Mayfield's rookie year. It just seems like with the investments that the Browns made and where they made those investments, that's the direction that the team's heading, and that's a very good direction to be heading down because I think that's where you can get the most out of Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham, Nick Chubb, and Kareem Hunt. Those are a lot of names. Now, some people may be worried about there being too many mouths to feed on the offense, but the way I look at it is that the Browns are really simplifying things right now. Last year, they had a lot of packages where they would have the fourth or fifth wide receiver. You were worried about Rashard Higgins. I think the Browns are going to be solely worried about the names that they have that everybody worries about getting the ball. What I mean by this is that you're going to have a lot of sets where it's going to just be your eligible receivers are just going to be Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, Austin Hooper, and, maybe Kareem Hunt out the backfield. So yes, there are a lot of mouths to feed, but I think they're going to simplify how they can get the ball to each one of them and not complicate the offense too much to make it a lot easier to feed the mouths. And again, the mouths to feed narrative only matters if the team's a complete dysfunctional mess. If this team's good, nobody's going to care how many mouths they're going to have to feed. Nobody worries about that in Kansas City about how many mouths they have to feed there. Because they're good. So if the Browns can be good, nobody's going to care how many mouths have to be fed. So ultimately, it's on Kevin Stefanski to create a good enough offense along with Alex Van Pelt so the Browns can be good and functional. If they're dysfunctional like last year, then it's going to be a mess. But, honestly, you're really just adding one more name to the pile that was everything last year. And it's not like he's the most demanding name on the list. All in all, the money that they signed Austin Hooper for, about 3 years, $40 million. Very good deal. I like that they kept the deals at 3 years. It shows that they're worried about, when Myles Garrett and Baker Mayfield are going to come up for contracts. Denzel Ward and Nick Chubb included with that. So that's 4 Pro Bowl players you would hope that are going to be up within the next 2 to 3 years. It's nice to see the Browns are looking forward and being precautious of that. And talk about being precautious is something I really didn't think they were going to have a chance to do. And if you watch my preview, you definitely didn't think that the Browns have a chance to do this. But Jack Conklin, they were able to sign him. And it's not just sign him, but sign him to a short-term deal. He apparently wasn't looking for a long-term deal, wanted to have a short-term deal. And that was perfect for the Cleveland Browns, who don't want to sign anybody to long-term deals right now. Again, they're going to have Myles Garrett, Nick Chubb, Denzel Ward, Baker Mayfield, all up for new contracts around the same time. They have to save that cap space to take care of those guys because that is realistically going to be the core of your team. And being able to get a Jack Conklin for pretty much the remainder of Baker Mayfield's rookie deal on decent money. I mean, especially after this year, they're paying him $22 million for the first year, and then after that, it's kind of a prorated deal. So it's actually a very good deal after the first year. So the Browns really did a good job here I think Jack Conklin's going to make the switch from right tackle to left tackle. $22 million is a 20. That's generally going to be a flip to left tackle. Maybe they address the other tackle position in the draft, but I think they can also address it with a mid-level free agency signing. I don't think it necessarily requires that they get somebody in the drafts, and it does open up the Browns to draft somebody like Derek Brown out of Auburn, who I think would be tremendous for this Browns defense and a tremendous pickup. Essentially what this free agency signing does is give the Browns flexibility that they didn't have on defense and that they desperately needed to have on defense in order to fill some key holes. It also says that the Browns are going to double down on this offense. The offense has to be good for this team to be good. The offensive line has to be good for this team to be good. And, Baker Mayfield has to be good for this team to be good, and they surrounded him with a lot of security blankets. You have Austin Hooper, who's going to be that security blanket at tight end that Baker Mayfield just didn't have last season with David Njoku being injured and Rashard Higgins he just disappeared, quite honestly. And then they retained Kareem Hunt, essentially. They gave him a second-round tender. I don't think any team's going to touch that. So Baker Mayfield also has that security blanket in the pass game. Then you look at what they did on the offensive line. They gave him a new tackle. And then you come to the next signing, which some people are going to see as a threat, but I don't necessarily see it that way, in Case Keenum. And I think Case Keenum I think it says two things. I think on one hand, it says that the Browns are very serious about being very competitive this season. And that includes having no excuse left for Baker Mayfield if he's not able to play at a competent level, if he's not able to keep turnovers down. Baker Mayfield will more than likely get replaced by Case Keenum if he cannot improve from his turnover numbers from last year. So they're maybe putting a little bit of a fire under him. I don't think this is a signing that is going to all of a sudden be like a QB competition, but it's definitely a signing to say we have a backup plan just in case Baker Mayfield does not work out this year that we think can keep us competitive if that is the case. It also is a great tool for Baker Mayfield because Case Keenum comes from the Lincoln Riley offenses in college, played in that system, has made a similar transition, has had to live and exist in the NFL as a shorter quarterback, has played in some high-profile, high-stakes games as the starting quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings. He is going to have a lot of advice, and he's going to be a valuable mind in the quarterback room. Again, one of the biggest problems I think Baker Mayfield had from his first year to his second year was that they gave him so much power that the quarterback room and the education in it suffered. You went from having guys like Kevin Stampese in there and to basically having a bunch of Baker Mayfield's friends out there. And I think that did hurt the Browns. I think that did hurt Baker Mayfield. Now that Baker Mayfield's not just going to be surrounded by his friends, hopefully a competent quarterback coach. Alex Van Pelt is seen as one of the better quarterback coaches that are out there. He is going to be offensive coordinator, but he's still going to have an impact there. And then putting a guy like Case Keenum, who's done it, not just theoretically, but he has done it. Drew Stanton has not done it like Case Keenum has done it in the NFL. So he might be able to impart some wisdom, might be able to, be a really good, not mentor, but a voice for Baker Mayfield to listen to and help Baker Mayfield in his maturation period and help Baker Mayfield become the complete leader that we all know he's capable of being. So I think this is a good thing. I think every signing that they did today was to help Baker Mayfield become a better quarterback. That is what the ethos is of today. They're putting a lot of stock on Baker Mayfield. They have some insurance on him with Case Keenum, but even with Case Keenum, they're bringing in somebody that they can help Baker Mayfield, and that's what they have to do. If Baker Mayfield is good this year, if this offense lives up to its potential, it's going to be insane what the Browns are able to do, but they have to be able to do that, and I think Andrew Berry is actually giving the Browns offense a fair chance to be successful. So I am a fan of everything that the Cleveland Browns did today. I don't think they overpaid for anybody egregiously enough for me to care about. I don't think they put themselves in a hole. They didn't make me scratch my head. Even the case Keenum was signing, which some people don't like, I actually think is a fair signing. I don't know if I would have done it, but I can understand the logic behind it. So again, I think these are great signs from the Browns front office. A lot of people were skeptical. I kind of knew just because of Andrew Berry's background that he was going to go for younger guys. I just didn't know if he was going to get the younger guys that he wanted on the number of years that he's trying to go for. But kudos to Andrew Berry because he was able to do that. Both of these guys, 26 years old that they signed. Case Keenum, not a young man, but not brought in to be the future of anything. He's brought in to be a stopgap safety net, and, kind of a mentor. So again, great job by the Browns front office. They made a splash without doing too much. And I think this bodes well. All right, so let's talk about some of the other stuff that happened around the NFL. DeAndre Hopkins being traded for David Johnson, a second-round pick, and I believe a fifth-round pick for next year. No, a fourth-round pick next year. Just a head-scratching trade there. And I think we talk about the positives of football guys a lot in the NFL, but this is the negative of having a football guy run the show, is that sometimes they make football guy decisions. It's like Dave Gettleman getting rid of OBJ. Sometimes egos clash and you trade your best player for pretty much not even half his value. I don't understand this trade. I don't know how you justify it. It's a bad trade. And then the Houston Texans followed this up by signing somebody that I didn't even have on the radar for the Browns to re-sign, let alone anybody to give big money to. They signed Eric Murray to 3 years, $20 million, which is just equally just head-scratching, wondering what's going on in Houston. Now, I could be wrong, but everybody talks about Joe Burrow going to a bad situation. Let's talk about the situation that Deshaun Watson finds himself in Houston. It's very undesirable, and it does look dysfunctional more and more as the days go on. And then you have Stephon Diggs being traded from Minnesota to Buffalo. Now, the trade compensation was better than what they got, than what Houston got for DeAndre Hopkins. Oh, sorry. But it also wasn't impressive. But again, Stephon Diggs is not necessarily somebody who's going to demand the package that DeAndre Hopkins should have got. So again, I think the Vikings did pretty good there on that front. I don't know how much better they could have done there. A lot of wild things happened along the AFC North. Calais Campbell signed with the Ravens. They also traded Hayden Hurst. The Ravens are doing some good things, doing some solid things. The Steelers really didn't do much. They lost a couple depth pieces, but they didn't really lose anybody big. Retained Bud Dupree. Bengals virtually did nothing. Didn't expect them to do anything. So again, the AFC North picture looks like the Browns and the Ravens are again stockpiling assets in this war that is going to be for the AFC North. And the Bengals and the Steelers have kind of held firm. The Steelers really have no option, and I think the Bengals would be smart to hold off on really stockpiling any assets until you hit that, until 2 or 3 years from now, when the Browns are going to be in a tough salary cap situation because of the players that they have on their roster, and when the Ravens are going to have to pay Lamar Jackson. That's going to open up a lane for the Bengals to take advantage of. So all in all, very interesting day. I think the country honestly needed a day like this where we could focus on something other than the craziness that's going on in the country. So it's just a fun day to keep up with these things and kind of take my mind off of what's going on around here. But that being said, that's my thoughts on free agency. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think there's more to come? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you like what I do here, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ding that notification bell so you can be notified. And again, thank you guys for watching. Be careful, be safe out there, wash your hands, and have a great night.